Hey everybody, welcome to Weekend Wrap, our look back at a big and kind of wacky MLS weekend. Jonah Friedman here with armchair analyst Matt Doyle. And Matt, let's count down our top three games. Number 3, DC United hosting winless and pointless Toronto FC.
Yeah, and we know what happens when Dwayne De Rosario plays a former team. If he only played against former teams, he would score probably about 65 goals a year. he got 2 more against Toronto, and it was a 3-1 win, and DC were dominant literally from the first minute. Toronto pulled one back, but then DC answered 2 minutes later, and you got to really applaud what this United side has done. Without guys like Dudar, Jakovic, Ethan White, Chris Pontius, Nick De Leon, real contributors, they've strung together three wins in 4, I think it is, and they look like one of the best teams in the East, if not the league. On the other side, there's just no hope for this Toronto side. The second DC goal, one guy was trying to, I think Daniel Henry was trying to play the offside trap while Ashton Morgan went with the runner, and it was just a mess. And you wonder, do they need to hire a specialist to come in and just drill them on fundamentals, on basics, because they are making basic errors, and that's why they're winless, pointless, and kind of hopeless. Number 2, on Saturday afternoon, our first Cascadia matchup of the year as Seattle went up the road to Vancouver.
Yeah, and no offense to the Portland Timbers, but man, this has become the rivalry in this Cascadia matchup. Every time these two teams get together, there seem to be some fireworks. No exception here. The Seattle fans drove up for this one, and why not? It was an awesome game from start to finish. Seattle, we talked about this all week, finally trotting out that starting attacking 4, and they looked lively. Vancouver trying to rest some guys ahead of the Canadian Championship, went with a speed lineup up front with Darren Maddox, Omar Salgado, and Sebastian Letou. And sure enough, within the first 12 minutes, Alain Rochat with an incredible individual effort to give the Caps the lead. Place goes nuts. Just after halftime, Eddie Johnson scores his 3rd goal for the Seattle Sounders, cleaning up a little bit of a mess out there in front of goal, and it just got crazier from there. Camilo comes in as a second-half sub and drills an amazing free kick 8 minutes from time. Vancouver thought they were on their way to a win, but guess who came up in the end? It was Freddie Montero drilling a golazo, a surefire goal of the week nominee in the 90th minute, almost in the exact same spot in the goal where Eric Osley hit that amazing golazo to give Vancouver a tie against Toronto in midweek. And this was an excellent game from start to finish. Number 1, the 26th regular season edition of the LA Superclásico, and of course the Galaxy victory, right Matt?
No, not this time. Not when David Jr. Lopez is involved. To be fair to the big Brazilian, it's kind of a no-win situation. You're on the line, you're the last man back, and 20 minutes left. I think a lot of defenders choose to handle the ball in that situation. We saw it in the World Cup 2 years ago. The real issue now is the Galaxy, a third of the way through the season, bottom of the Western Conference table. They're only 5 points out of the playoff race with a game in hand, but they look terrible. They have no answers up top. Edson Buttle's not scoring. Chad Barrett, we all make fun of him from time to time. He had 9 goals and 7 assists last year. This year he has nothing. And on the other side, Chivas looked pretty good in that kind of modified 4-3-3, Ali Moreno buzzing around, Osvaldo Minda dominating central midfield, and new signee Jose Eric Correa looking like the real deal. Add in a healthy Juan Agudelo, and they really have something. Now, it's going to take a little time to come together. It's not all going to be pretty, but they definitely bear watching.
Let's take a quick look at the top performers of the weekend. Dwayne De Rosario adding 3 goals over the last 2 games to add to his league-leading 7 assists as DC keeps rolling. Sayer Sen with another 2 goals, making Bayern Munich wonder if maybe they should have used him in the Champions League final. And, of course, Teal Bunbury also making a statement to Jurgen Klinsmann with a pair of goals on the weekend.
Well, Munich definitely could have used Sen to step up and take that PK in extra time. I don't know what Aaron Robin was doing with that one. But the big man from France has really provided a spark for New England. And what's fun to watch about them is they just let him go where he needs to go. And the other 9 guys on the field, they just hold their formation, they hold their fundamentals, and it allows him to be creative all over the pitch, and they're a better team for it. With Bunbury, I'd say a return to form, except it was not. It was totally different from him. He actually scored a header off a cross. This is a guy who's 6'2", 210 pounds, had never scored a header off a cross as a professional. So hopefully he's added another facet to his game. If he has, I'm sure Jurgen Klinsmann will keep an eye on him. If he keeps scoring, maybe we'll see him in some U.S. camps later on this summer. And then Dwayne De Rosario, 3 goals in 2 games. This guy is worth the money. He's proved it year after year after year, and DC are shooting up the standings as a result.
Let's take a look at how the weekend affected the standings. New York Red Bulls, the hottest team in Major League Soccer. They have 5 wins in a row, and that despite being down a man up in Montreal. And they are still 1 point ahead of DC United with 24 points. Sporting Kansas City now firmly in third place with 22 points, but they've still got a game in hand on New York. Chicago still in fourth. New England and Houston tied on 13. Toronto is still winless, way back at the pace, starting to look like a lost season, as we said. Out west, Real Salt Lake, despite the bye weekend, still sitting atop the heap. San Jose had a chance to overtake them this past weekend, but the point against Columbus kept them in second. Seattle now in 23 points in third place, but with 2 games in hand. Vancouver with 18, Colorado with 16, and as we said, the LA Galaxy with 11 points. They're now off to the second worst start ever for a defending MLS Cup champion. That'll do it for us. Make sure you check back all week for the midweek action. We'll check back with you on Friday.